Welcome back to the Poorly Educated Podcast, Today in the News. The only news show brave enough to tell you the real story. This country's held together with duct tape, prayers, and one last can of expired Mountain Dew Code Red. And buddy, that duct tape is peeling faster than my cousin Ricky's sunburn after he fell asleep on the hood of his own truck. Today's news ain't news. It's the casserole you forgot in the oven, and when you open that door, the smoke alarm becomes a lifestyle. Segment 1. The Farragut West Fallout. The big story: Washington, D.C. turned into the world's worst Black Friday doorbuster when an Afghan former CIA asset ambushed 2 West Virginia National Guard troops near Farragut West. Specialist Sarah Beckstrom didn't make it, and Staff Sergeant Wolf's still fightin' for his life. And folks, when the president heard the shooter used to work with the CIA, he acted like Walmart discovering Target handed out better coupons. So now we got a permanent pause on immigration from every third world country, which is pretty rich coming from a government that can't get the DMV printer to work without a congressional prayer circle. They say they're going to re-review 233,000 Afghan refugee cases. Buddy, these folks can't even review my taxes without sending me a letter that says, "Oops, our bad, disregard the last 7 pages." And then the president says we're being invaded, which is funny, because every time I go to D.C. it looks less like an invasion and more like a bunch of squirrels running the power grid. Meanwhile, Senator Capito from West Virginia is out here defending soldiers in the city like she's cosplaying as a Call of Duty lobby. And then Defense Secretary Hegseth tries launching an investigation into Senator Mark Kelly for seditious behavior, which is the political version of accusing your neighbor of stealing your lawnmower just because he has grass. This whole government's acting like a family reunion after the potato salad goes warm. Everybody suspicious, nobody making eye contact, and at least one uncle's yelling about an invasion. Segment 2. Venezuela. Trump wants round 2 of Risk, the board game. The president says traffickers switched to land routes, so now he wants the U.S. to start land operations in Venezuela. Sir, we can't keep potholes filled in Indiana, but we're going to launch a land invasion into a jungle country run by a dude who cosplays Che Guevara on livestream. Maduro got on stage in full woodland camo, because nothing says credible leader like looking like you're about to film a Duck Dynasty reboot. He tells his people to defend every inch of Venezuela. Buddy, I've seen Venezuelan highways. There are some inches they need to surrender, just so somebody can fix the pavement. Meanwhile, the FAA tells airlines, "Hey y'all, maybe don't fly over the place that's about to pop off like a propane tank at a bachelor party." And suddenly half the airlines in the Western Hemisphere are canceling flights. Colombian President Petro says blocking flights is a crime against humanity, which is ironic, because anyone who's ever had to fly Spirit Airlines knows humanity left the chat years ago. And the Venezuelan opposition? Half of them want America to show up with tanks, the other half say that's a terrible idea, and together they disagree so hard they could be a Thanksgiving family table. Segment 3. Black Friday, mass boycotts, market failure, and America's financial Jenga tower. Black Friday used to be simple. You'd wake up at 3 a.m., go fight a grown man for a $19 air fryer, and return home with emotional scars and a waffle maker. But this year? The CME Group, the giant exchange where all the fancy futures trading happens, went down because of a cooling failure. A cooling failure. The financial markets got taken out by the same problem that shuts down Dollar Tree freezers. For hours, markets were flying blind, which is also how my cousin Earl drives his four-wheeler. Stocks mostly went up, though, which proves the U.S. economy is basically a bumblebee. Science says it shouldn't fly. And yet here it is, buzzing around, threatening everyone. Then we got consumer protests, mass blackout. We ain't buying it. You got activists telling folks, don't give a dime to Target, Amazon, or Home Depot. Buddy, my family been doing that for years, usually because we can't afford the gas to get there. Protests at Home Depot, that's bold. Nothing more dangerous than interrupting a crowd of dads wandering around the lumber aisle pretending they understand wood measurements. This year's shoppers are value-centric, meaning they ain't buying anything unless it's 87% off. And even then they ask, you got a coupon for that? Inflation's eaten everybody alive. When Aldi rotisserie chickens hit $9, we all realized we were living in the bad timeline. Segment 4. Global chaos, fires, corruption, and conflicts nobody wants. Hong Kong had its deadliest fire since 1948. 128 people gone because bamboo scaffolding and flammable styrofoam decided to form an unholy alliance. That building turned into a giant tiki torch nobody asked for. They arrested 8 people, which in Hong Kong construction terms is practically a customer loyalty reward. Ukraine? Their chief of staff, Yermak, quit over corruption probes. That man was Zelensky's right-hand dude. Losing him during wartime is like a NASCAR driver's steering wheel falling off mid-race. Meanwhile, Putin says he'll only accept peace if Ukraine hands over territory, which is a polite way of saying, hey, give me your house and I'll stop hitting you. Then there's the West Bank. AP caught Israeli forces shooting surrendering men, which is the kind of thing that turns an already bad neighborhood into a powder keg. America's trying to mediate, but at this point, America is like that one friend who keeps giving relationship advice, even though their own marriage is held together with prayer and painter's tape. Segment 5. Sports. The only thing Americans can still agree to yell about. The Thanksgiving NFL lineup was wilder than my Uncle Gary after 3 bourbons and 1 political opinion. Green Bay beat Detroit 31-24. Jordan Love threw 4 touchdowns, and Lions fans now have a medical condition called Lions seasonal depression. It starts week 12 every year like clockwork. Cowboys somehow beat the Chiefs, which I didn't think was possible unless Mahomes tripped on his own hair. Chiefs are 6-6 now, which feels mathematically illegal. Dak Prescott threw 320 yards, and Cowboys fans suddenly think they're going to the Super Bowl again. They ain't, but bless their hearts. Bengals stomped the Ravens 32-14, 5 turnovers. Buddy, 5 turnovers isn't a football game. That's a yard sale. Then tomorrow's Black Friday game, Bears versus Eagles, both 8-3. The Bears lead the league in takeaways, which is impressive considering the last thing Chicago took away successfully was probably a parking meter. Devonta Smith is back, Bears linebackers are out, and somebody's walking out of that game as an internet meme. Segment 6. Culture. Turkey controversy, baby formula panic, and 2028 already looming. Vice President J.D. Vance got on the phone with troops and said anyone who says they like turkey is full of S. And honestly, he might be onto something. Turkey is the beige minivan of meats, dry, flavorless, and only exists because tradition says so. My family deep fries ours because fire adds personality. Then the baby formula recall, By Heart pulled everything because of botulism concerns. Great. Perfect. Nothing says stable nation like political collapse and food safety roulette. And the 2028 elections already heating up. Newsom is trying to be the anti-Trump superhero, Kamala Harris might run again because hope springs eternal. Pete Buttigieg is out here polishing his glasses, waiting to solve a technocratic crisis with PowerPoint slides. Sanctuary cities are suing over the invasion executive order, and it's heading for the Supreme Court, where the justices will decide if the president can declare human beings an invading army. Which is wild, because if you want to see an invading force, look at the line at Costco on a Saturday. In conclusion, today's America looks like a Thanksgiving dinner where somebody dropped a lit match into the gravy boat. We got domestic threats, foreign threats, economic threats, consumer uprisings, political cage matches, and yet somehow the Cowboys still think they're going to the Super Bowl. Everything's on fire, everything's in court, everything's being boycotted, and everything costs 12% more than it did last week. But don't worry. Here at the Poorly Educated Podcast, we'll be here tomorrow to tell you how it all gets even dumber.